Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're exploring a massive, fundamental shift in how we handle information. We're talking about the transition from struggling with manual data entry, the kind that just completely eats up your entire afternoon, to mastering hyper-fast, automated information logic. So whether you're basically just starting out with data or you're a seasoned professional looking to totally re-architect your workflows, there is definitely something in this for you. Let's start with the big picture. We all know this universally relatable pain point, right? You open a file with, say, a couple 100,000 rows, you try to apply just a single manual filter, and bam, the screen turns white, a little loading icon starts spinning indefinitely, suddenly your computer fan sounds like a jet engine taking off. Yep, your spreadsheet has officially reached its breaking point. Those physical limitations have entirely bottlenecked your workflow. Now, think about how this actually frames the solution. Programmatic analysis isn't just some shiny new software tool you install. It is a massive architectural upgrade to your everyday workflow. On one hand, we've got the manual world. It's slow, it's memory heavy, and it freezes if you look at it funny. But in the programmatic world, processing happens instantly, entirely behind the scenes, pipelines run automatically, and the system handles millions of rows, literally, just as easily as it handles 10. To make this jump, we really have to understand the core environment where all this programmatic magic actually happens. It's called a data frame. Think of your old spreadsheet as a single, overwhelmed metal filing cabinet. If you want a document, well, you've got to open the drawer and hunt for it yourself. A data frame, on the other hand, is a dynamic, programmatic container. It acts way more like a sprawling, fully automated fulfillment center. You ask it a question, and robots instantly retrieve exactly what you need without you ever having to look at the shelves. But to build this automated facility, we first need to understand the fundamental building blocks that programmatic architectures use to categorize information. Our data frame needs to know exactly what it's storing. It stores objects, which is really just regular text or strings. It stores integers, which are clean whole numbers. It uses floats for decimals or really precise financial figures. And crucially, it uses Booleans, which operate entirely on strict true or false logic. And this is where we anchor those abstract data types into a universally relatable business scenario. Check out this simple table tracking customer churn. We've got our customer ID, which operates as text, an object. We have tenure in months, which is a clean integer. And we have churn status. Did they cancel their service? Yes or no? That's our Boolean logic in action. This simple setup is the foundation for absolutely everything we're about to build. Section 1, the framework. Moving from manual viewing to dynamic manipulation. Okay, so that covers the basics of what we're working with. Now, for the intermediate learners and working professionals out there, we're going to see how these building blocks translate into an actionable, repeatable framework. This is all about moving away from manually staring at rows and columns and moving toward dynamically manipulating them. To do this, we use a core 3-step mechanical framework. Step 1, inspect. Step 2, filter. And step 3, aggregate. By mastering these 3 steps programmatically, you completely remove the need to ever scroll through a grid manually again. You're commanding the data now. You're not just scrolling through it. Let's start with step 1, inspect. Before you dive into any complex analysis, you have to know if your data actually imported correctly, right? Instead of mindlessly scrolling down to row 100,000, programmatic analysis lets you instantly check the head, the very first few rows, and the tail, the very last few rows. This serves as a lightning-fast, mandatory sanity check to make sure the structural integrity of your massive dataset is perfectly intact. Once we know the data is structurally sound, we move right into step 2, filter. Now, this relies entirely on that Boolean logic we talked about. Remember those true and false statements? The crucial point here is that in a programmatic framework, we don't manually select or highlight rows. Actually, scratch that. It's more like we create a logical stencil. We design a mathematical statement, and we just drop that stencil right over the entire data set. Let's see that stencil in action. Say we want to isolate customers who strictly pay by mailed checks. We're not going to sort the payment column alphabetically and tediously scroll down to M. No way. We command the engine, show me where the payment method exactly equals mailed check. The stencil drops down, the falses are totally blocked, and only the trues fall through. The system instantly isolates the exact 1,612 customers that match without a single stutter. But let's be real, business is rarely that simple. What happens when we need to ask a harder question? How do we stack multiple complex criteria together? without breaking the system or getting wildly inaccurate results. This is the exact practical challenge that bridges the gap between simple, singular filters and solving real-world, multifaceted business problems. The answer is stacking conditions safely. We can ask the system to find customers who canceled their service. That's condition 1. And were with the company for less than 2 months. Condition 2. By explicitly grouping these distinct logical statements together, we combine criteria seamlessly. We heavily insulate the pipeline so it never misinterprets our rules. This ensures absolute precision, even when the questions get incredibly specific. Which brings us to step 3, aggregate. This right here is where we extract real, undeniable business value. We stop observing single rows and we calculate the strategic total. But here's the programmatic advantage. We don't just blindly count rows. Data is messy. Sometimes customers are accidentally listed twice. By aggregating programmatically, we can tell the engine to strictly count only unique customer IDs, instantly eliminating any duplicate data bias. And when we apply that logic, filtering for early cancellations and accurately counting the unique IDs, the engine instantly spits out the concrete result, 380. Boom. No manual counting, zero accidental double counting, just the precise number of unique early churn customers, delivered in a fraction of a second by our multi-layered logical stencil. This visual really anchors our output, proving how those abstract, code-driven filtration steps ultimately produce clear, actionable business intelligence. We've taken an overwhelming sea of records and cleanly extracted the exact proportion of the problem. That is the sheer power of this framework. Section 2, the bigger idea, engineering your data engine. Now for the advanced viewers, let's elevate our perspective entirely. We've gone from basic structures to an actionable framework. Let's look at the architectural mindset shift behind everything we've just covered. To truly unlock this potential, you've got to challenge yourself to discard the visual crutch of the spreadsheet entirely. Seriously, stop thinking about data as static rows and columns painted on a screen. Start thinking about data as a dynamic structure mapped to an ultra-fast computing layer. Embrace the idea that information is just an interconnected high-speed dictionary of logic, just waiting for your commands. Consider this fundamental truth. Programmatic analysis doesn't just calculate faster, it removes human bias and physical limitations. The true strategic value of programmatic thinking isn't just about raw speed, it's about error-proofing your business intelligence. You're entirely removing the fatigue of the human eye, the risk of a misclicked cell, and the physical memory limits of a desktop application. And most importantly, you gain the ability to scale without limits. When you build an analysis by stacking inspection, filtration, and aggregation rules, you aren't just solving a problem for today, you're actually engineering an automated pipeline. Because it's logic-based, that exact same pipeline will process 1,000 rows today just as easily and just as accurately as it will process 10 million rows tomorrow. And that brings us to the core, unifying takeaway of this entire explainer. Whether you're learning the basic building blocks, applying the framework, or architecting the big picture, remember this. Data is no longer a static document that you just open up and read. It is a powerful engine that you engineer and build. So I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. Take a hard look at your own daily workflow. Look at the tasks that eat up your time, the spreadsheets that freeze your computer, and the physical scrolling that just tires out your eyes. What manual process are you going to stop doing and replace with automated logic today?